watching Como News.
The question obviously is, what do we do with this pain? There is no one answer, no easy answer to that question, but I do know this. Violence is not the answer.
Developing now, city leaders in Louisville, Kentucky are making a new plea for peaceful protest and extending a curfew for the next 2 nights because of some violent actions in the wake of a controversial ruling in the Breonna Taylor case. In just the last few hours, Louisville's mayor revealed the city is working to release some information related to the grand jury investigation into that police shooting of Taylor, while the FBI still examines the evidence. Overnight, protesters marched through the streets in cities from coast to coast. They're demanding an end to police brutality and reforms to policing after no police officers were charged in connection to the deadly shooting of Taylor. In Louisville, those protests did turn violent with 2 police officers shot. Investigators say the 2 officers were shot when a large crowd faced off with police in riot gear. Both injured officers are expected to recover, and they do have a suspected gunman in custody. That shooting happened about an hour before the city's curfew went into effect. Louisville police say they made nearly 100 arrests in the overnight hours. Those protests also spread here to our area, and this morning neighbors are out cleaning up broken glass on Seattle's First Hill after more violent protests broke out there and on Capitol Hill overnight. Como's Theron Zahn shows us what police say happened outside the East Precinct.
Police say the East Precinct came under attack again overnight, and their response had officers pelted with bottles and rocks. Angry and violent protesting returned to Capitol Hill and First Hill overnight. On First Hill, we saw people smashing out windows, tagging storefronts with graffiti and other property damage. Police say the group of protesters gathered at 11th and Pine. Then, around 10:45, someone launched an explosive at the East Precinct. We're told it went through a roll-up gate and blew up near some bike officers. A few minutes later, some people from that group cut the wires to the security cameras at the precinct, according to investigators. Police say when they figured out who threw the explosive and tried to arrest them, a group of bike cops was attacked with bottles and rocks. More than one officer was hurt, according to police, including one who was hit over the head with a baseball bat. These are police photos of their damaged helmets. With all the violence going on, it made it too dangerous for us to talk to those involved. But earlier we talked with an activist who says changes have to be made to police accountability.
Until we end things like qualified immunity and actually modify the CBAs so that officers who have shot someone and have multiple charges against them can't just appeal and come back to the SPD, there's no change. By
the time the confrontations were over, police had arrested 13 people. They're facing charges ranging from property destruction to assaulting an officer. We've been out and checking the area this morning, and everything is quiet as of now, and we understand those officers that were hurt did not have serious injuries. Reporting in Seattle, Theron Zahn, Como News.
Again, those protests followed the grand jury decision not to charge 3 officers for the shooting death of Breonna Taylor. One officer was charged with wanton endangerment. That's for firing shots that put other people in Taylor's apartment complex in danger. But the grand jury found the officers involved in the botched raid were justified in using their weapons because Taylor's boyfriend fired at them first. He says he believed someone was breaking into the home that night and never heard officers identify themselves. Kentucky's Attorney General has not released that grand jury report. And while the city works to try to change that, an attorney for Taylor's family is also raising questions about why the documents have not been released.
Show us where you presented to the grand jury, because obviously Breonna Taylor did not have a voice in that proceeding.
Taylor's family has called for murder charges to be filed against the officers. There is still an ongoing federal investigation looking into whether the warrant was properly obtained and if Taylor's civil rights were violated.